Have you ever wondered what happens when someone eats a magic mushroom? These aren't the mushrooms you put on your pizza. These are special kinds of fungi that can take your mind on an incredible journey. For thousands of years, people all over the world have used them. They've used them for spiritual ceremonies, for healing, and for exploring the very nature of their own consciousness. When someone consumes these mushrooms, their world can change in profound ways. Colors might seem brighter, sounds might feel richer, and their thoughts can travel to places they've never been before. It's an experience that can feel deeply meaningful and sometimes even a little strange. The main ingredient that makes these mushrooms magic is a chemical called psilocybin. Think of it as a key. This key fits into special locks in your brain, and when it turns, it opens up new doors of perception. Your everyday way of thinking, the one that helps you get through your normal day, takes a back seat. Instead, your brain starts making new connections, linking up parts that don't usually talk to each other. This is why a mushroom experience can feel so novel and eye-opening. It's not just a hallucination, it's a fundamental shift in how your brain is processing the world around you and the world inside you. So, what does this feel like? People often report a sense of wonder, like seeing the world for the first time. They might feel a deep connection to nature, to other people, or even to the entire universe. Emotions can become much more intense. You might laugh uncontrollably at the beauty of a simple leaf, or cry tears of joy or release. The boundaries of the self, that feeling of being a separate me inside a body, can start to dissolve. This can be a powerful and transformative feeling, giving people a new perspective on their lives and their place in the world. But it's not all just wonderful feelings and beautiful sights. The experience is deeply personal and can be very different for each individual. It is also highly dependent on your mood and your environment before you even start. The same mushroom that can lead to profound insights can also lead to a confusing or scary experience if not approached with respect and care. That's why understanding the science behind it is so important. By learning how these fungi work with our brains, we can better appreciate their power and understand how to navigate the journey they offer. Let's get down to the science of it all. Inside every magic mushroom, there's a naturally occurring compound called psilocybin. On its own, psilocybin doesn't actually do much to your brain. It's what we call a prodrug. Think of it like a cake mix. The mix itself isn't a cake until you add some things and bake it. When you eat a magic mushroom, your body, specifically your digestive system and liver, gets to work. It metabolizes the psilocybin, which means it chemically changes it. It removes a small part of the molecule, a phosphate group, and in doing so transforms it into something new, psilocin. Psilocin is the real star of the show. This is the active compound that travels through your bloodstream and makes its way to your brain. Now, why is psilocin so special? It all comes down to its shape. The psilocin molecule looks a lot like another very important chemical that your brain uses every single day, serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that helps regulate your mood, your sleep, your appetite, and many other things. It's like the brain's traffic cop, directing signals and keeping things running smoothly. Because psilocin looks so much like serotonin, it can fit into the same parking spots or receptors in your brain. The most important of these receptors is called the serotonin 2A receptor, or 5-HT2A for short. These receptors are found in high concentrations in parts of the brain that are involved in higher-level thinking, like perception, self-awareness, and imagination. When psilocin binds to these 5-HT2A receptors, it doesn't just mimic serotonin, it activates them in a unique and powerful way. This activation is what kicks off the cascade of effects we call a psychedelic trip. It's like a guest musician showing up to an orchestra and playing an instrument so beautifully and strangely that all the other musicians start playing in new and unexpected ways. This interaction disrupts the brain's normal patterns of communication. The usual chains of command are temporarily suspended. Instead of information flowing along well-worn paths, it starts to crisscross the brain in novel ways. This is why your senses can get mixed up, a phenomenon called synesthesia, where you might see a sound or hear a color. The brain's regular filtering system, which normally keeps you focused on what's important for survival, is turned down. This allows a flood of information, memories, and emotions to come to the surface. It's a chemical key unlocking a different mode of brain function. A mushroom trip can be thought of like a play with three distinct acts: the onset, the peak, and the come down. The first act, the onset, typically begins about 20 to 60 minutes after you've consumed the mushrooms. It often starts subtly. You might feel a little bit of a flutter in your stomach or a change in your body temperature. Some people describe a feeling of anticipation or nervous energy, like the feeling you get at the top of a roller coaster just before it drops. The world around you might start to look a little different. Colors may seem more saturated, and patterns on a rug or in wood grain might appear to breathe or gently shift. The second act is the peak, and this is the most intense part of the experience. It usually arrives about 1 to 2 hours in and can last for several hours. During the peak, the full effects of the psilocin are at play in the brain. This is where those profound changes in perception and thought occur. Time can feel like it's stretching, slowing down, or even stopping altogether. Your sense of self might begin to dissolve, leading to a feeling of being one with everything around you. This is also when you might experience complex visual patterns both with your eyes open and closed. Deeply buried memories or emotions can surface, offering a chance for powerful personal insights. After the intensity of the peak, the third act begins, the come down. This is a gradual return to your normal state of consciousness. The visual effects start to fade, and your regular sense of self slowly reassembles. This phase can last for another couple of hours. Many people find the come down to be a very gentle and reflective period. It's a time to process the intense experiences of the peak. You might feel a sense of calm, clarity, and emotional openness. It's like landing softly back on the ground after an incredible flight, with the memory of the view still fresh in your mind. The entire journey, from the first subtle feelings of the onset to the final moments of the come down, typically lasts between 4 to 6 hours. However, the length and intensity of each phase can be influenced by many factors. The dosage, of course, plays a big role. A larger amount will lead to a more intense and longer experience. Your individual body chemistry, your mindset going into the experience, and the environment you are in all contribute to the unique character of your personal journey. Every trip is different, even for the same person. For a long time, we could only rely on people's stories to understand what was happening during a psychedelic experience. But now, with modern brain imaging technology like fMRI scans, we can actually look inside the brain and see what's going on. And what we've found is truly remarkable. Scientists used to think that psychedelics worked by sending the brain into overdrive, making it hyperactive. The reality is quite the opposite in some ways. Psilocybin actually decreases activity in some of the brain's major hub regions, particularly one called the default mode network, or DMN. The default mode network is like the brain's CEO. It's most active when we are daydreaming, thinking about ourselves, or worrying about the past or future. It's the part of our brain that maintains our sense of ego, our story of me. When psilocybin quiets down the DMN, it's like the CEO goes on a coffee break. This temporary shutdown of the brain's central command center is what allows the ego to dissolve. Without the DMN constantly reinforcing your personal story, your brain is free to experience the world in a less self-centered and more direct way. This is a key reason why people report feeling more connected to the world around them. While the DMN gets quieter, something else amazing happens. The rest of the brain becomes much more interconnected. Brain regions that don't normally communicate with each other suddenly start chatting away. Imagine your brain is a country with many cities. Normally, traffic flows along major highways between the big cities. Under psilocybin, it's as if thousands of small country roads suddenly open up, connecting every small town to every other small town. The visual cortex might start talking directly to the part of your brain that processes emotions, which could explain why visual experiences can feel so emotionally charged. This state of high connectivity and low central control is sometimes described as a more entropic or chaotic brain state. But chaos isn't necessarily a bad thing here. It's a creative chaos that allows the brain to break out of its old rigid patterns of thinking. These patterns can be very useful for everyday life, but they can also trap us in cycles of worry, depression, or addiction. By temporarily scrambling these patterns, psilocybin allows the brain to explore new pathways and form new perspectives. It's like shaking up a snow globe, letting all the pieces settle in a new and beautiful arrangement. The fascinating brain changes caused by psilocybin have caught the attention of scientists and doctors. They are now seriously exploring its potential as a powerful tool for mental health treatment. At leading research institutions around the world, studies are showing that psilocybin-assisted therapy can have remarkable effects on some of our most difficult-to-treat conditions. One of the most promising areas is in the treatment of severe depression. For some people who haven't responded to traditional antidepressants, a single, guided psilocybin session has been shown to produce rapid and lasting relief from their symptoms. Another area of incredible promise is in helping people who are facing the end of their lives. For patients with a terminal cancer diagnosis, the anxiety and depression that come with it can be overwhelming. Several studies have found that a guided psilocybin experience can help these individuals come to terms with their mortality. It can reduce their fear of death and help them find a sense of peace and meaning in their final months. The experience can give them a new perspective, allowing them to focus on their connections with loved ones and appreciate the time they have left. The potential benefits don't stop there. Researchers are also looking into psilocybin for treating addiction, particularly to substances like alcohol and nicotine. The idea is that the mushroom experience can help disrupt the rigid, compulsive thought patterns that drive addictive behaviors. It can provide a profound, meaningful experience that can motivate a person to make lasting changes in their life. Early studies have shown that psilocybin therapy, when combined with traditional counseling, can be significantly more effective than standard treatments alone for helping people quit smoking or drinking. It's very important to understand that in these studies, participants aren't just given a mushroom and sent on their way. The psilocybin is administered in a carefully controlled therapeutic setting. Patients spend many hours with trained therapists before the session to prepare, and they are guided and supported by these therapists throughout the entire experience. Afterward, they have more therapy sessions to help them integrate their experience and make sense of the insights they gained. This professional support is a crucial part of what makes the treatment safe and effective. While the potential benefits of magic mushrooms are exciting, it is absolutely crucial to acknowledge the risks. These are powerful substances that must be treated with respect and caution. The most well-known risk is having a bad trip. This is an experience characterized by fear, anxiety, paranoia, or confusion. Instead of feeling a sense of wonder, a person might feel trapped in a frightening loop of negative thoughts or experience scary hallucinations. A bad trip can be a deeply unpleasant and even traumatic event, especially if the person is not in a safe and supportive environment. The two most important factors for reducing the risk of a bad trip are what experienced users call set and setting. Set refers to your mindset. Your emotional state, your intentions, and your expectations going into the experience have a huge impact on its outcome. If you are already feeling anxious, stressed, or are in a negative headspace, the mushroom is likely to amplify those feelings. Setting refers to your physical environment. Being in a place where you feel safe, comfortable, and supported, ideally with a trusted and sober person present, is essential. A chaotic, unfamiliar, or public place can easily trigger feelings of paranoia and fear. Beyond the risk of a bad trip, there are potential long-term psychological risks, especially for certain individuals. For people who have a personal or family history of psychotic disorders like schizophrenia, taking a powerful psychedelic like psilocybin could potentially trigger a psychotic episode or worsen an underlying condition. This is why careful screening is a standard part of all clinical trials. It's also why it's so important for people to be honest with themselves about their own mental health history before ever considering such an experience. These substances are not for everyone. Finally, there's the legal risk. As of today, August 29, 2025, psilocybin remains a controlled substance in most parts of the world. Possessing or using magic mushrooms can lead to serious legal consequences. While some cities and states have moved to decriminalize them or approve them for therapeutic use, they are still illegal under federal law in many places. Understanding these risks, the psychological, the environmental, and the legal, is a fundamental part of responsible use. The power of these fungi to heal and reveal is matched by their power to confuse and frighten if they are not approached with knowledge, preparation, and profound respect. The human relationship with magic mushrooms is not a new phenomenon. It is an ancient story that stretches back thousands of years and across many cultures. Long before scientists in labs began studying psilocybin, indigenous peoples recognized the profound spiritual power of these fungi. Some of the oldest evidence comes from rock art found in Spain and Algeria, Dating back as far as 6,000 to 9,000 years ago, these paintings depict figures that appear to be mushrooms, often surrounded by dancers or other ceremonial imagery, suggesting they played a role in the spiritual lives of these ancient people. In Central and South America, the use of psilocybin mushrooms has a rich and well-documented history, particularly among peoples like the Aztecs and Mazatecs. The Aztecs called the mushrooms teonanacatl, which translates to flesh of the gods. They used them in sacred rituals for divination, healing, and communicating with the divine. These ceremonies were not for recreation, they were deeply serious spiritual events, led by shamans who knew how to guide participants through the powerful experience. Mushroom-shaped stones found in the region, some dating back over 2,000 years, further attest to their long-standing cultural importance. The Western world was largely unaware of these practices until the 1950s. It was an American banker and amateur ethnomycologist, someone who studies the historical uses of fungi, named R. Gordon Wasson, who brought them to popular attention. In 1955, he traveled to a remote village in Oaxaca, Mexico, where he was invited to participate in a sacred mushroom ceremony led by a Mazatec curandera, or shaman, named Maria Sabina. Wasson published an article about his profound experience in Life magazine in 1957, introducing the concept of magic mushrooms to millions of Americans for the first time. Wasson's article had a huge impact, sparking interest from both scientists and the burgeoning counterculture of the 1960s. Harvard psychologist Timothy Leary began conducting research with psilocybin, famously encouraging people to turn on, tune in, drop out. This led to the mushrooms becoming a symbol of the counterculture movement, which unfortunately also led to a political backlash. By the early 1970s, psilocybin was made illegal and classified as a Schedule I drug, halting most scientific research for decades. It is only in the last 20 years that we have seen a renaissance in research, bringing this ancient medicine back into the light of modern science. The mushroom journey doesn't necessarily end when the chemical effects wear off. For many people, the days and weeks following a profound psychedelic experience are marked by a unique state of mind often called the afterglow. This is a period of heightened emotional openness, increased empathy, and a more positive outlook on life. The rigid patterns of thinking that were disrupted during the trip can remain more flexible for a while, making it a valuable window of opportunity for personal growth and change. People often report feeling less anxious, more connected to others, and more appreciative of the simple beauties of everyday life. This afterglow period is a critical time for what therapists and experienced users call integration. Integration is the process of taking the lessons, insights, and feelings from the psychedelic experience and weaving them into the fabric of your daily life. An insight gained during a trip, like the realization that you need to forgive someone or that you should spend more time in nature, is just an idea. Integration is the hard work of turning that idea into real, lasting action. Without this process, the profound feelings from the trip can fade away like a dream, leaving little behind but a strange memory. How does one integrate an experience like this? It can take many forms. It might involve journaling about the experience, trying to put the ineffable into words. It could mean talking about it with a trusted friend, therapist, or community. For some, integration is about making concrete life changes like starting a meditation practice, changing careers, or repairing a damaged relationship. The goal is to build a bridge between the expanded state of consciousness you experienced and your normal, everyday self, allowing the wisdom of the former to inform and improve the latter. This process of reflection and integration is arguably just as important as the trip itself. The mushroom experience can open a door, but you are the one who has to walk through it and explore what's on the other side. It can show you a new perspective, but it's up to you to maintain that perspective when you're back in your daily routine. The lasting value of a psychedelic journey is not in the memory of the strange visuals or intense emotions, but in how it inspires you to live a more conscious, connected, and meaningful life long after the afterglow has faded. Magic mushrooms are far more than just a recreational drug. They are a powerful key that can unlock different states of human consciousness. Through the actions of psilocybin and its active form, psilocin, these fungi temporarily rewire the brain. They quiet the part of us that maintains our ego, our sense of self, while simultaneously creating a symphony of new connections between brain regions that don't normally communicate. This profound biological event is what gives rise to the incredible journey of a mushroom trip, with its distinct phases of onset, peak, and come down, each offering its own unique perspective. The potential of these experiences is immense. Modern science is rediscovering what ancient cultures have known for millennia, that these mushrooms can be powerful tools for healing. From alleviating the crushing weight of depression to easing the existential anxiety of those facing the end of life, psilocybin-assisted therapy is showing remarkable promise. It offers a new paradigm for mental health care, one that focuses on creating meaningful experiences that can catalyze profound and lasting psychological change. This research is reopening a door that was closed for far too long, inviting us to look at mental health in a new light. However, with great power comes the need for great responsibility. The risks associated with these substances are real. A difficult or bad trip can be a frightening experience, and for individuals with a predisposition to certain mental health conditions, the risks can be even more serious. This is why the principles of set and setting are not just helpful tips, they are essential safety precautions. Approaching the experience with a clear intention in a safe and supportive environment is the best way to navigate the powerful currents of the psychedelic state and minimize the potential for harm. Ultimately, the story of magic mushrooms is a story of balance. They hold the potential for profound insight, deep connection, and significant healing. Yet they also demand respect, caution, and careful preparation. Whether used in a shamanic ceremony, a therapeutic session, or for personal exploration, the goal is not simply to have a wild experience, but to learn something valuable from it. The process of integration, of reflecting on the journey and applying its lessons to our lives, is what transforms a fleeting trip into a lasting, positive change. These remarkable fungi offer a glimpse into the mysterious workings of our own minds, reminding us of the brain's incredible capacity for change and wonder.